Awesome.
Okay, so my name's Katrina, and I'm here to present a project proposal for implementing a robust disaster recovery plan at Cobra Valley Regional Medical Center, or CVRMC. The problem statement: CVRMC lacks a fully developed disaster recovery plan, leaving critical health information systems vulnerable to extended downtime during system failures or cybersecurity attacks. This gap affects patients, clinical staff, and IT personnel because it increases the likelihood of delayed patient care, regulatory noncompliance, and significant disruptions to business continuity. To address this issue, CVRMC must develop a robust disaster recovery plan that includes defined recovery time objectives, regular system backups, and routine testing procedures. Justification: CVRMC's current policy for downtime procedures are as follows. Registrations will need to be filled out manually, issuing an offline patient billing number, and when service is restored, registrars will enter all manual registrations into the computer system. The policies, however, do not address system backup procedures because CVRMC does not have a current robust backup or recovery solutions to help view necessary patient information during unplanned downtime events. This risks longer downtime, foregone revenue, regulatory noncompliance, decreased patient safety, lower work morale, and reputational damage. Furthermore, CVRMC has previously fallen victim to system failures and cybersecurity attacks, both of which have compromised access to information systems. In one occurrence, there was a power outage that caused the system to fail. This took several hours to resolve and caused difficulties in every department. In another occurrence, CVRMC experienced a cybersecurity attack. This predisposed data to encryption, corruption, and theft, thus jeopardizing the security of patient information. Evidently, preliminary risk assessments showed that the organization currently does not have a standardized framework in place to effectively manage system recovery during and following unexpected downtime events. This shows that there is a business need for a robust disaster recovery plan. Implementing a robust disaster recovery plan will combat these issues by providing proactive risk management and accelerating system recovery, thus achieving the organizational objectives of maintaining patient safety, data security, and business continuity. Project-specific data. A business impact analysis, or BIA, evaluates the potential outcomes of interrupting business operations so that consequences can be predicted and rectified. For this project, the BIA's objective is to determine the systems that must be restored first, how quickly it should be restored, and what the consequences are for failing to do so. The BIA team will consist of subject matter experts, including the Chief Information Officer, Health Information Management Director, Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, Tegria representative, and clinical department leaders. The CIO will coordinate CVRMC's technology or robust backup system with its business goals. The HIM director will manage CVRMC's patient records and ensure it maintains its integrity, privacy, and regulatory compliance. The emergency preparedness coordinator will ensure that the disaster recovery plan is sufficient and ready for emergencies. Tegria, on the other hand, is a healthcare consulting and services organization for for Meditech.
There you go.
Tegria representative will help develop and implement a disaster recovery plan and robust backup system into Meditech. Lastly, clinical department leaders from MedSurg, ICU, ED, etc., manages daily department operations and can provide intel on how the disaster recovery plan affects their departments. The project success can be measured through recovery point objectives and recovery time objectives. Based on the BIA and stakeholder interviews, the RPO should be 1 to 5 minutes in critical systems, and the RTO should be less than 15 minutes in critical systems. Meeting these targets indicates that the project is successful. Project scope. In this project proposal, a comprehensive disaster recovery plan for CVRMC will be delivered or developed so that it may back up data and recover critical information systems, including Meditech and ancillary clinical systems such as picture archiving and communication systems, pharmacy information systems, and laboratory information systems. The project parameters focuses on planning, developing, and testing the readiness of the disaster recovery plan. The project scope would include conducting a BIA and risk assessment to analyze potential threats and its ramifications on the organization, labeling data as critical, important, and unimportant so clinical systems are restored in a reasonable order, identifying the frequency in which data is backed up and the retention period of the backed up data, establishing who is included in the disaster recovery management teams and their responsibilities during an unplanned event, developing disaster recovery policies and procedures, and testing the disaster recovery plan to ensure it's operational and meets objectives. The project scope, however, does not include replacing or upgrading the current EHR or ancillary clinical systems. The project is restricted to these parameters so that an achievable goal can be met within a given time frame and with a given resources. Deliverables are defined as a tangible or intangible item that can be created to measure a project's progress and quality. For this project, high-level deliverables would include a formal disaster recovery plan document, BIA report, and prioritization matrix. A formal disaster recovery plan outlines how to efficiently recover from an unexpected event. A BIA analyzes the potential outcomes of interrupting business operations so that consequences can be predicted and rectified. A prioritization matrix evaluates a task's level of urgency, importance, and impact and effort so that the highest and lowest priority items can be identified. These are all considered high-level deliverables because each item is a comprehensive outline, analysis, and tool that needs to be presented to stakeholders to advance a project. The project's objectives will be successful by achieving four outcomes. First, a disaster recovery plan and high-level deliverables are formally reviewed and approved by executive leaders and stakeholders by the conclusion of the project's timeframe, which is week 16. Second, the project is completed within the given 16-week time frame and stayed within the budget of $10,000 to $50,000 annually. Third, RTO and RPO targets have been achieved by week 14. And fourth, stakeholder responsibilities and disaster recovery plan expectations are well defined.
Right.
Project plan. Several stakeholders will be included to execute the project. This includes executive management like CEO, CIO, CTO, the emergency preparedness coordinator, disaster management team leaders, the IT coordinator, the IT team, health informaticist, and the clinical team. Executive management is responsible for authorizing budgets and high-level decisions. Emergency preparedness coordinators are responsible for coordinating teams and overseeing the disaster recovery plan. Disaster management team leaders are individuals that will be responsible for managing their departments, reporting to disaster recovery supervisors, and implementing the disaster recovery plan. IT coordinators are responsible for managing technical recovery and the organization's technology. The IT team and health informaticists will collaborate to formulate test scenarios and test the disaster recovery plan's functionality. Lastly, the clinical team will participate in testing and providing feedback on the disaster recovery plan. The timeframe for implementing the disaster recovery plan will approximately be 16 weeks. In weeks 1 through 3, a preliminary risk analysis will be conducted to identify an organizational need. This is where a need will be identified, a project proposal will be initiated, and key stakeholders will be identified. In weeks 4 through 6, a BIA will be conducted to assess threats and its ramifications to the organization. RTOs and RPOs will be identified. This is also where asset inventory is created by labeling assets based on their level of priority. This is where this will help determine the order in which clinical systems should be restored. In weeks 7 through 10, policies, procedures, and recovery workflows for disaster recovery will be developed based on previous findings. Stakeholders' roles and responsibilities will also be established at this time. In weeks 11 and 13, the disaster recovery plan will be tested in a validation environment to assess the quality, efficiency, and accuracy. A validation environment is a controlled test environment that replicates a current system so that its functionality may be tested prior to making it live. Any problems that are identified should be rectified at this time. In weeks 14 through 16, stakeholders will review the proposal and make any necessary revisions. After the proposal is reviewed, finalizations will be made, and the project will receive final approval from the executive leaders. For resources, the project will need the stakeholders to execute the tasks and then cybersecurity tools like firewalls and encryption to protect patient information. It'll also need data backup systems for on-site and cloud-based data storage and a disaster recovery software for data replication and failover. For budget constraints, because CVRMC is a smaller facility with only 25 beds, the budget for the disaster recovery plan will approximate between 10 to 50,000 annually. Limitations and constraints for this project would include a fixed time frame of 16 weeks and limited resources, including budget and stakeholders. It's important to consider the constraints for a project to ensure that the project is realistic and feasible. It allows an organization to properly prioritize critical tasks and properly allocate limited resources. Application of systems development lifecycle. The systems development life cycles consist of 7 stages: planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. This methodology was used to guide the project plan. In the planning phase, a preliminary risk assessment was conducted to identify a business need and initiate project planning. In analysis, a business impact analysis was used to identify system vulnerabilities. In design, Tegria developed a disaster recovery plan for CVRMC's Meditech. And implementation, the IT team developed simulated disaster events to test the disaster recovery plan. In testing, stakeholders and end users were presented with simulated disaster scenarios in the test environment to test the disaster recovery plan. And in maintenance, the system must be regularly monitored for quality assurance after integration. Testing phase. The purpose of this testing scenario for the disaster recovery plan is to validate that critical clinical systems can be restored within the defined recovery time objective and recovery point objective. The testing scenario for this project will consist of simulation testing, tabletop experience exercises, and full-scale failover. These tests will assess downtime procedures, system failover capabilities, security measures, and data integrity. Communication plan. Project managers are responsible for coordinating communication and ensuring that stakeholders remain informed throughout the project. There are different communication channels and tools that can be utilized to deliver information, such as emails, team meetings, staff training, and performance reporting. The performance reporting involves measuring, evaluating, and communicating a project's progress. It identifies whether the project's performance is meeting the organization's objectives. This is accomplished by comparing actual progress against planned milestones. The executive team ensures that the project's outcomes aligns with the organization's long-term objectives. To achieve this, they need information on the project status, risks, timeline, and final outcome. The IT team develops, implements, and maintains the disaster recovery plan. They would need information on technical requirements and results from testing scenarios. The clinical staff partakes in testing scenarios and provides feedback to strengthen the disaster recovery plan. They would need information on downtime procedures and training material. Regular updates should always be communicated, especially when it involves milestone completion, testing outcomes, and incident reports requiring immediate attention. This keeps everyone informed and minimizes ambiguity. Performance measures. For this project, suitable performance measures would include RTO, RPO, data integrity rate, incident response rate, and cost performance index. First, RTO will measure the disaster recovery plan's recovery speed. Second, RPO will measure the data loss. Third, data integrity rate will measure data accuracy upon restoring the data. Both RPO and data integrity rates helps determine if the organization has met the goal of preserving critical data, maintaining continuity of care, and adhering to legal regulations. Fourth, incident response rate measures how fast staff identifies and addresses the unplanned downtime event. Both RTO and incident response time helps determine if the organization has met the goal of maintaining timely patient care and minimizing disruptions to clinical systems. Fifth, cost performance index will evaluate whether the organization efficiently utilized their budget. This is calculated by dividing earning value by actual cost. Earning value is calculated by multiplying the percentage of completed work by project budget. A CPI greater than 1 indicates that the organization spent less than planned, whereas a CPI less than 1 indicates the organization spent more than planned. As for the results, when testing RTO and RPO, a testing scenario is presented with a goal of meeting the target RTO and RPO. At the conclusion of the test, results are collected in the form of timestamps, recorded into a log, compared against target goals so that discrepancies can be identified. Project management strategies. To effectively manage a project, strategies for planning, budgeting, and communicating the project plan to stakeholders is essential. For planning strategies, we would use stakeholder analysis, risk management planning. For budget strategies, we would use resource allocation and contingency planning. And for communication strategies, we would use performance reporting and feedback mechanisms. And we're at the end. Do you have any questions or any feedback?
Wow, I mean, it's very thorough how you kind of presented it out. And the one thing that I think would have been cool for you to see. So I think it was last week we had the like a pretend scenario in our family practice clinic where like the system went down and they had to do it all like
Oh my gosh.
yes,
I
I was
would
like,
love to
oh
see
my
that.
goodness. I was like, dang it, the weak Katrina isn't here.
Oh my God, that would have been great to see.
Yeah, it was stressful for the girls up in the clinic, but I mean they got through it and it was pretty good. But I was like, man,
Oh wait, what was
one
going on over there? Do they actually have a downtime or was it like a
no,
testing?
it was planned. So uh we planned out downtime. Well, I guess you can call it down. I don't know if it's downtime, but we kind of started testing the what do you call this? The whole disaster recovery. So we kind of pretended like they knew like, okay, guys, today is the day that we're gonna do this, the whole disaster plan at this clinic. And then they went through the different departments and they kind of did that test in each
Hmm.
department.
Hmm.
So that would have been cool if you were here to see that because you would have been able to see it in action. But
Right.
I mean,
Man.
yeah, I was like,
If
dang,
only I
she
was still there.
now like she missed it, man, by like a week. Um, no, but it was good though. They did good. So far they got the whole like the whole disaster recovery of Meditech, the whole pop-up of that was pretty cool to see. So I'm bummed you missed that. But going back though to your project, can you go up a couple of slides?
Yeah,
That was
which one?
let me see, keep going. I think it was where was it? Oh, right there. Hold on, stay
Oh,
there. I think let me see. No, that's pretty spot on. I mean, I think you did a thorough job on that, Katrina. I'm like, wow,
yay.
I'm impressed.
I felt so
Um,
bad because I was like, when I was making this, I was like, there's like paragraphs and paragraphs, and I was like, oh my God,
yeah.
I'm gonna keep her here for an hour. So I was like, I gotta like shorten it a little.
No, let me see, is it go up a slide? Let me see. Mm, Okay, let me see if outline to help us to recover. Matrix. Okay, no, that was good. That was good. I thought you had said something else though, but it's good. I mean, yeah, I think overall though, you kind of capture it and it would have been cool though if you would have saw that disaster happen in the clinic. So we started at our family practice clinic up on the hill.
Hmm.
And I was like, man, that would have like been perfect because you would have saw it all like tie together, like kind of what everything led up to.
Right. I could have like added
But
it here too. Dang
yeah,
it.
I know. I was like, dang, man, like she just missed that too. But no, I think overall though, like you're thorough, your deliverables, those are good. The way you lined it out and explained it, I think it's good. Like I don't even think I would go up one slide real quick again. Mm, Okay, okay, okay. Let me see. Mm-hmm. What's an upgrade the current EHR? Right, it's a disaster. I mean, and really on your parameter scope right there, like that's really all what it is, right? We
Yeah.
plan, we train, and we implement. And that's kind of what we did. So, I mean, I think you did a good job, Katrina.
Yay.
I'm impressed. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. You taught me well.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it would have been cool to see that last little piece, but it's
Yeah.
okay though. This is good.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yay.
like how you outline it and you kind of go into detail, like not into like crazy. I don't know, like if you know what I'm talking about. Like sometimes when like people try to explain something, it's like they talk too much,
Hmm.
and it's almost like you're just like, okay,
That's what
like
I was worried I was doing like a long time
yeah.
ago.
No, 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 but these are like, I mean, you got some little paragraphs, but it's like precise. Like you're the way you say things, it's like you're saying it and that's what it is, and you don't have that like that all that fluff to it.
Yeah.
That makes it all like, ugh, like okay. You get right to the point, and that's what I like, because you're like boom, boom, and we do this and we do that, and like that's literally what it's all about.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think you did a good job.
All right. Thanks so much, Val.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. If you need anything else, let me know.
Of course. And thank you so much again for being my preceptor. You're awesome.
You got it. Thank you.
All
Anytime.
right.
All right,
All
we'll see
right.
ya.
Okay, bye.
Bye.